Great to be here today. So I'm going to tell you a little bit of my journey after I left CMU. So as someone was saying, I graduated, I got my PhD in 1990. And after that, Kai-Fu was in my rush too, in my PhD thesis committee. So I was trying to schedule the defense. And Kai-Fu tells me, well, actually, I'm going to be joining Apple. So you better hurry up and finish writing. And by the way, do you want to join me? You're finishing soon. So I'll say, okay. Sounds like an exciting thing. So we worked together on a project, again, also licensed from CMU, from Sphinx 1 system, but it just was too slow, and we couldn't run it on a Macintosh. So a lot of the time that I spent was trying to compress vector quantized vector quantization. So it's like double, so that we can fit it in memory. This is the demo, the system that Kai-Fu showed in 1992 in Good Morning America. Let's see if we can hear it.
Casper, good morning.
Good morning, America. And good morning, Joan.
Go ahead.
Casper, copy this to make right 2. Casper, paste. Casper, select all. Casper, 18-point bold. Casper, word underline. Casper, 72-point italic outline.
Casper, open checking. Casper, pay Macy's $65. Casper, pay Pacific Bell $95.18.
Casper, program my VCR. Casper, record channel 5 from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. tonight. Casper, accept program.
So that was based on the original Sphinx system, heavily compressed. So thank you to CMU, to everything that we learned and all the technology that was developed here. And after that, I spent over a year there, and I had to go back to my home country, Spain, not because I wanted to, but my visa expired, had one of these 2-year home residency requirements. So I went back there, and as soon as I landed, I was running a team at Telefonica who happened to be working with Bell Labs. They have been working with Bell Labs for many years. And one of the projects this was 1992. Not 50 years of speech, but 500 years from the discovery of America. So there was like the World Cup in Spain, and there was the World's Fair in Seville. And it turns out that we had a booth in Seville, and we were showing a speech-to-speech translation system. And you may see this thing here. This was actually all the hardware where everything was running. That was built by David Rowe in Bell Labs. So I didn't do very much of this, just have the team tweak the text-to-speech system to make it work in Spanish and help with the translation. And I went down there and tried to show the system, and there were millions of people that went to the World's Fair. And I found out that after you had been running this, demonstrating this for a little while, the system just heated up and stopped working. So I had to develop a routine, figure out when it was gonna crash, had my colleague entertain the answer some questions where I rebooted it. It was an experience. And then, of course, my old friend XC, after a while, tells me, hey, I'm moving to Microsoft now. So that's the second one. First it was Kai-Fu, now it's XC. Do you want to come and join me? I say, of course. Back with the CMU Mafia. Went to Building 99 and spent almost 20 years in Seattle. By the way, this is what it looks like in the summer. If you're in the winter there and someone asks you about the weather in Seattle, there are 3 types of answers, most common. A very common one is it's raining. That happens quite a bit. Second one is it's about to rain. And it stopped raining, right? But it was a great 20 years. As Exy was mentioning, one day he comes to our office, Hon and I said, hey, I think we need to write a textbook. And no, it was not 800 pages, it was 1,000. It took forever. But it was like a great experience, and see so many people that learn about the technology from reading our textbook. Then I'll just give you a few milestones that at least were important for me in my career and the time that I have. And one of them was Microsoft Kinect. It was a gaming device, and it happened to be, according to the Guinness World of Record, the fastest selling consumer electronics device. And that was a partnership with the product team. Phil was running a lot of this, and a lot of what we did was on the microphone array. So this was one of the first prototype systems that you could buy that did far-field speech recognition. You saw then Alexa building up a few years later, but it was pretty tricky. We had to put these 4 microphones and figure out how we could do echo cancellation and beamforming and all that, but it was really fun. And that was one of the first times that I was doing work that it wasn't just papers or books, but rather it touched the lives of many, many users. But still, this was something that whenever I would go to cocktail parties, neighborhood friends tell me, so what do you do? Well, I work on speech recognition. Speech what? So these are a lawyer, a doctor, people that don't understand this. I tried to explain it, they clearly didn't get it. And in fact, once they told me, oh, I think I got it now. One day we lost power with all the windstorms in Seattle, and I called the power company to report the outage. And instead of talking to a person, I talked to the stupid machine that didn't understand me. Is that what you do? And the answer is, unfortunately, yes. For many years, that's what the technology was good for writing papers, but it was hard to make products out of this. But then there was this milestone that I was so fortunate to be a part of this, is the neural networks in speech recognition. As you know, you see Alex Weibel's paper, 89, 90, Nelson Morgan. So people were working on neural networks back then. But then things kind of like stopped for a number of years, the neural networks winter, right? But then deep learning came back, and it's the renaissance. This was this paper in 2006 that Jeff Hinton published. So, and you can see all of the deep neural networks and everything. So one day, one of the researchers in the team, Lee Deng, comes to my office and tells me, I think this is going to be big for speech too, because Jeff had been working with MNIST, the handwritten digit recognition task. But I think I'm sure that this is going to be big for speech. So I want to invite Jeff to come and visit for a couple of weeks, learn about his system, and spend a couple of months building this, and say, well, let me see if I get it right. You're in the speech group, but you want to spend a couple of months working on image recognition. Did I get that right? And I say, yes. And for a while, I hesitated, thinking, this doesn't make any sense. There's some guy in the speech group working on image recognition. I also had like some scars. I read some of Alex Weibel's papers back then. I didn't quite understand neural networks. So I said, well, I don't know, this is a good idea. And then all came together. I was just going to tell the story that Kai-Fu mentioned before, but Kai-Fu had told me that story with Raj one day when he went to his office and told him, I want to try this statistical system. I said, well, I think the expert system is the way of the future. But you know what? I will let you go ahead and do it and support you. And I said, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Despite the fact that I was not convinced about neural networks, despite the fact that he asked me to work on image recognition, even though he was in the speech group, I said, okay, go ahead and do it. Happy that he did it, published this paper on deep belief networks, if you look at the title. Deep belief networks was the term that Jeff Hinton was using. Another paper, but in this case, it was with deep neural networks. And what happened is that the team submitted the paper, and the reviewer says, well, DBN is already used for dynamic Bayesian networks, deep belief networks. Just pick another acronym. How about deep neural networks? Okay, so thanks to the anonymous reviewer, that was used, and became deep neural networks. And then we wrote a few more papers. This was 2010, 2011, 2012. And that was really a big transformation in the community. Just if you search Google Scholar, the papers that have deep neural networks in quotes so that they're all together, look at what happened. Vroom, it just took off to the point that, of course, in just a couple of years, everyone was using that in the speech community. And in fact, although Jeff and others have been using deep neural networks or deep belief networks for image, for small vocabularies, for digits, it was after this, a year after, that they started using in AlexNet and all of these big competitions for big image processing. So it was really great to be part of that. Even the team authored a paper together with the University of Toronto, Google, and IBM. So this helped popularize, not just in one place, but across the board. And then Siri shipped in 2011. That was the first mainstream voice assistant. As I mentioned before, when I was talking to friends that are not in technology about speech recognition, speech synthesis, they didn't quite understand it. But then I said, well, I work on this. Oh, yeah, like Siri. Oh, yeah, kind of, yeah. So you work, oh, you like Siri? And I said, And then guess what? A year later, I get the phone call from the guys at Apple. And I mean, I was super happy at Microsoft, so I wasn't not interested in looking around, but I said, please come. It turns out that they were using the Nuance system, and they had no speech technology in-house. So, well, we need to build our own. I think we just have to do it. Do you want to come in and do it for us? And I hesitated and said, well, come and just talk to us, have the interview. And I was about to finish my interview. He said, well, I think you're going to meet one more person. And they opened the door, and it was Tim Cook. And he tells me, well, Alex, you need to come here because you're having impact in many people that may read your papers. I've seen you have a book that has maybe over 1,000 people that have read it or cited it or something. But if you work here, you're going to have you impact hundreds of millions of people. And I've always been an interested person in impacting society, not just the core algorithms. So I joined. And it was harder than I thought because Apple has always been pretty secretive. So I said, well, we're not going to be able to build this and hire people unless we open up and being able to publish, and had to persuade a couple of the senior vice presidents to do that because it was not easy at all. It took me longer than I thought. But we managed to start publishing some, not as much as Microsoft or later Google, but enough to attract enough people. So this is something that really made our day when we found that out. And we kept getting many of these notes from customers that saved their life or made a big improvement in their life, which, by the way, we needed it because we also got occasionally others that were not so happy about Siri. But it's been a great ride. I'll give you a couple of other milestones that we did. You may have seen AirPods. Many of you may wear them. We definitely go to schools and all the kids are wearing them. And we tasked in 2019 to put Hey Siri on these devices that are tiny. And we had to spend a lot of effort just to compress all the algorithms in that little thing. That was kind of interesting. We also tried to look at, this is one of the things that Apple does, integrate the hardware and the software all together in a complete package so that it all feels like seamless. So like if you were to use, at least at that time, some of the Bluetooth headsets, the connection and disconnection, it took a few seconds. It was not very natural. Let's see if we can hear that. Takes a while.
Is it going to rain tomorrow?
There's a slight chance it'll rain in the late night tomorrow.
And finally, you hear the music. Not very efficient. It's probably better just to pick up your phone and change the song. But we made a number of improvements, integrations, and extensions to make it much smoother.
Hey Siri. Is it going to rain tomorrow?
There's a slight chance it'll rain in the late night tomorrow.
So ducking, reducing the switching time, higher quality audio. So this is one of the things that it was really fun to do. And a lot of this is integration, again, between hardware and software. Apple has been building for almost a decade its own chips. And the chips are designed specifically for the type of software that we need. So this is the neural engine is one of the pieces of this that is a piece of the silicon that is specialized on neural network computations, which we use heavily. And in fact, neural TTS has been like a big revolution. It's not just neural networks for speech recognition, but also for TTS. Big revolution in speech quality. So what we did is trying to shrink all of this into an iPhone. And we had to work pretty hard working with the chip designers, with the compiler people, and we managed to make it real time, which is good for privacy reasons. Big Show was mentioning about this in the past. If you want to ask, you're driving, you want to ask Siri to read you your text message, and it turns out that your text message that is encrypted end-to-end now needs to be decrypted, sent to the cloud, generate TTS, and back, well, now that cloud device has your text message. So we wanted to put this on device so that doesn't happen. And let's see, you probably still remember the quality of the TTS system in the Casper demo back in 1992. Let's see where we are today. This is all fully synthesized.
Hi, I'm Siri. Right now I'm using a voice you probably recognize, since it's currently the default choice when you use Siri with American English. In fact, many people don't realize that in 24 of the languages I support, I offer more than one speaking voice. Like this.
Hi, I'm Siri, and this is my other US English voice. Starting in our next release, it'll be much easier for our users to discover all of our voice options and adopt their favorites across all locales.
And our American English users will have even more options for my voice as well. Let's take a listen.
Hi, I'm Siri, your virtual assistant, and this is one of 2 brand new voices that are coming soon for US English. I can't wait to share them with our users. Let's try out this new voice on some classic Siri sayings. It's currently clear and 72 degrees. The Cowboys are trailing the Cardinals 21-0 with less than a minute left in the second quarter. Okay, the garage doors are closed. Hey, this new voice is pretty nice, if I do say so myself. But wait, there's more.
Hi, I'm Siri, your virtual assistant. Ooh, that was fun to say. I got tingles. I really love this new voice too. Let's hear what it sounds like as your virtual assistant. Shares of Pfizer rose to $108.22 today. That's an uptick of $1.10, or 1.03%. Okay, I stopped the timer and reset it to 45 minutes. Oakland is 48 miles away. Traffic is heavy right now, so it should take you about 1 hour and 26 minutes to get there. Not too shabby. This new voice is ready to read out a whole bunch of weekend forecasts, group message threads, and fun facts about avocados.
We hope people enjoy trying out all of these Siri voices and finding the one that best speaks to them.
That's our demo for today. Thanks for listening.
So Big Shot, if you're afraid that you can have fingerprints of the message that you ask Siri to read you, don't worry. On the latest devices, you don't have to worry. That doesn't leave your phone. We also managed to shrink the neural network in our speech recognizer into our Apple Watch, which again was a pretty tricky feat, but now again, it offers the same value of privacy. And now you have this in your iPhones as well. So you can do all the speech recognition and speech synthesis and language understanding on device, unless you're asking for like sports score or weather, where you need to go to the cloud anyway to find the information. Finally, a lot of what we're doing here is trying to also benefit the lives of other users that have some disabilities. So this is again what Steve Jobs used to tell that Apple is that the intersection of technology and the liberal arts, which again reminds me of CMU, which has a top computer science program and a top drama department as well. Is the intersection that can make magic happen, where you put some of the technology, not just technology for the sake of it, but rather to solve a real problem, and you design it like if it was designed all together, something that I also learned at CMU. Thank you very much.